Hello, and once again, we are live with the Modern Mystery School UK EU podcast and YouTube channel, and we are joined by the lovely Marda. Marda, how are you?
Very well, thank you. It's so nice to see you and to be back here.
I know, welcome back. And this topic is brilliant. I'm loving finding out why people wanted a spiritual guide. So I'm really interested to find out why you wanted a spiritual guide, Marda.
You know, it's such a long time ago. It's 15 years this year. And at the time, I didn't know that the name for what I was needing was a spiritual guide. But I almost kept on trying to find my way in the dark. I was surrounded at the time by a lot of healers, by psychics. Most of my friends were healers or psychics, and I was the one that was living a left brain life, very much just doing work from day to day. And I kept on asking, I often asked them, what do I need to do to get into this? And they couldn't tell me. So sometimes people would say, read a Kabbalah book or do a little bit more yoga, but nothing really changed. And when I met who is currently my guide, at the time, and I went for the life activation, something was different. I remember I walked into a studio. I was a bit early, like I'm always early. And at the time, I was told I needed to wait. She was busy doing rituals. And something thought, oh, I may want to know more about that. And I remember she told me at the time, at the end of the life activation, I do this class where things will happen. I remember she spoke about how your will change after that. And she told me about Kabbalah as well. And I said, no, I don't want to do Kabbalah. It was sort of the thing that I never could get a handle on. But that night at the end of Empower Thyself, when I received the initiation, it was the most incredible emotional experience because I felt like I was home. So I was looking for a path that nobody had the tools to show me. And when I stepped onto the initiation blanket, I received the initiation, I stepped through the doors of the Modern Mystery School. That opened up. So even though it wasn't something that I was consciously looking for, when it fell in place, I knew it was what I needed.
Yes, very powerful, very powerful. So 15 years has gone by, and what does a spiritual guide in the lineage do? Do they tell you what to do, or do they not, or how does it work?
So this is my experience through the 15 years and my process of growing on the spiritual path has not always been easy because it's not meant to be easy. But my guide has always been there standing in a balance, holding the light. Sometimes it was practical advice that I needed. Sometimes it was, maybe this is not the right way, maybe consider something else. Sometimes it was a hug. There were times where I had personal emergencies, and she was the one holding the light for me. So it was spiritual, it was practical, it's still practical often. And even though I'm now doing the same work as a guide, when I get to a point where I don't know where to go, that's my first port of call.
I love that, because that's the one thing that for me shouts integrity about the lineage, is that as guides ourselves, we all have guides.
Yes.
Because you always need somebody there to look and check, and the blind spots that you perhaps maybe can't see, or just like that sounding board, just that person to say, hey, and so for me, there's always that progression, there's always that growth, and our guides are always going ahead and doing that. And so we do that, and then others come after us, and I love that process.
And the thing that I through all this time always realized that there's a very sacred relationship with the guide. I realize it even more now that I'm doing the same work, because your guide is the one that holds your hand through this process of getting ready for initiation. Um, and that is a very powerful process. And again, the guide is the one that holds the light. And I've had emergencies where I've been stuck in places where it was hair raising, and I could get hold of my guide, and she supported me energetically, emotionally, spiritually, physically.
Yeah, very, 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 just a very special relationship, as you said. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, in terms of you now, you're in the world doing this work as a guide, and would you say that everybody could benefit from a guide, or do you have to be spiritually minded, or is it just something that some people could, would utilize, or what's your view on that?
I think everybody could do with guidance in in terms of how to live the best version of their lives. Um, what differentiates, in my opinion and my experience, the work that a spiritual guide does in the King Solomon lineage, it's so much more than what a coach does. Because people typically go to a coach, but there's not that elevation that happens when working with a guide. The guide has also got the direct connection to the light, which is not necessarily the case if you work with a coach. And our training is just so different. So even a lot of people get to me, and when they initially get to me, it's not because they necessarily want to walk on a spiritual path. They just sometimes are in need of deep healing. And in that process, I step into the role as a guide. And when they decide to do empower thyself, then there's the healing that happens, and the possibility of going deeper into spirituality should they wish to do that. But even people that decide just to do empower thyself and stop for a while, in my experience, have benefited from having a guide, um, because we live in the world and we have experience and we see things from different perspectives because of the light that we hold.
Yeah, I agree. I think having that, because for me, I've always known that we weren't just this physical thing, and that we were more than that. Both, we're spirit and physical body. And to me, it never really made sense that we just took care of our physical body, and if I go to the gym, or if I'm looking for, to change my eating patterns, I'm going to go to a nutritionist, I'm going to go to somebody who looks after the gym, I'm going to get maybe an IV drip or whatever it is. I'm going to an expert in that field. So
I seem to have lost you. Oops. Okay, I think I've lost you. I'm going to log out and come back in if that's okay, because it seems like we've lost the connection.
And I think we might have lost Marda. So we will finish off with that. And if you want to get in touch with Marda, then you can get in touch with her on her website, which is, oh, she's back. She's back. Oh, wonderful. I
Yeah,
was just
sorry, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it might have been my end actually, because we're having extreme heat, and for some reason the internet is not loving it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I was just saying that I would definitely go to an expert if I wanted to change something physically, like my nutrition, or my vitamins, hormones, all that kind of thing. So to me, it always kind of made sense that I would enlist an expert in this in spiritual growth, such as a guide, somebody who's walking that path already, and obviously has experience in that. So yeah, I 100% agree with you. That's amazing.
Thank you for that.
Now, Marda, if people want to get in touch with you, you're in South Africa.
Yes, I'm in Cape Town.
Yeah. And if people want to get in touch with you, this is the correct email address, isn't it? Sorry,
yes, that's the correct email address. And they can WhatsApp me send me a WhatsApp message from my website. There's a WhatsApp link there. And I'm able to respond within a couple of hours from receiving the message.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. And apologies to everybody if we dipped there and we came back again. But yeah, hopefully our internet will stay strong.
Thank you so much and good luck with the heat.
Thank you.